Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wellness Wednesday. I hope you are having a fabulous day, and I hope you had a fabulous Thanksgiving. If you are just stumbling on my page, my name is Donna. I'm a mom, a nana, a girlfriend, jazzerciser, runner, studying for my Master of Science in Clinical Mental Health Counseling, and in that respect, very lucky that I still have hair, own an online activewear and wellness boutique. And I am a huge wellness advocate, and that is because I have been in a lifelong journey with anxiety and depression, sometimes almost crippling. And I like to consider myself in recovery now. But what I've learned is that in the process of recovery, peer wisdom really works. And it was on my heart for a long time to start Wellness Wednesday, because when we share tips and tricks with each other, that we learn things that we haven't tried. It's like throwing spaghetti noodles at the wall. Some things work for us, some things don't. Some things work for us, but not for others. But the only way we can find that out is by talking with each other. So I started Wellness Wednesday for that purpose, to get us talking and to share tips from my journey, things that I've learned. And since I'm in grad school and still on my journey toward recovery, it is more of a journey than a destination. I am constantly learning new things. And sometimes my viewers reach out to me, ask me to cover certain topics. And if that's something that you would like to see me do, then shoot me a message, drop a comment about a non-political topic that you'd like to see me cover. And I love to learn. So I will dig into it and see if I can put that on a future Wellness Wednesday. If you have been following me for a while, then you saw last week's video, which was on the 8-minute call, which was 3 little stories about connection and helping and encouraging. All that kind of went together, and I hope you enjoyed that. And just a reminder that I now have all of my videos on YouTube. When I'm done each Wednesday, I immediately download and upload that video to YouTube. So if you don't get a chance to get back to it, or if you're new to my page and you've missed previous videos, Facebook only retains live videos for 4 weeks. And once they're gone, you can view them on my YouTube channel. So with that said, if you're here, let me know you're here. If I don't see this, or if you don't see this till afterwards, give me a hashtag replay, drop a comment, ask a question, whatever. This video will be here for a month. And sometimes Facebook doesn't show me all the things. So if you say hi, and I don't respond, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I didn't see you. All right. So last week's video, we talked about the 8-minute call, making connections, being a helper, looking for helpers, being an encourager. And that sometimes just in that 8-minute call, we can do all of those things, in one small, tiny move. And I will drop the link to last week's video in the comments. If you missed it, it's also somewhere on my page. If you go to the Reels tab, it's in there. So now we are officially in the holiday season. We kind of were already, but officially, Thanksgiving is past. We are diving headlong into a holiday season. And this is the perfect time to talk about slowing down to notice the awe moments. Awe spelled A-W-E. So let's talk about the definition of awe. The definition of awe, according to the online dictionary, is a feeling of reverential respect mixed with fear or wonder. If you do a Google search, it describes awe as the modern day decline in experiencing wonder and amazement. So let's talk about that a little bit more, because you might be like, what? Say what now? So here we are. Awe. Think fireworks. When I was a kid, we would go to the fireworks display. I was born in Florida, but I grew up in Michigan. And we would go to the fireworks display in Mackinac City. If you're not familiar, Mackinac City is on the south side of the Mackinac Bridge. So from the Mackinac City beach, we could sometimes see not only the Mackinac City fireworks, but we could see the St. Ignace fireworks, which is the north end of the bridge. Good morning, Miss Ivy. And we could also see Mackinac Island fireworks, and sometimes Beaver Island fireworks too. But I remember as a kid, there were so many oohs and ahs all the time when we were watching the fireworks. And the fireworks display was phenomenal up there. And it took me It took me a while to get, I just, when I moved to Florida, I didn't feel like the fireworks displays were as big or as and it might have just been because I was older, because you know how things seem bigger when you're younger. But there was always so many oohs and ahs, and then sometimes we would even get dramatic about it on purpose, like, even the little ones, someone would say, and it was the whole crowd. It wasn't just us, it was the whole crowd. And even for little ones, somebody would go, have a really dramatic ooh, and then a whole bunch of other people would answer with a really dramatic ah. The point was, we don't do that enough. We are losing that ooh, that awe that we get from things that seem magical. And there's lots of different definitions of magical too. We're not going to go there. But even in my faith, I find that there's a lot of magic. And one of my favorite quotes is that those who don't believe in magic will never find it. So think fireworks, think ooh, ah. And then my boyfriend a few weeks ago, and this story actually has quite a bit of depth to it, so I won't get into all of that. But again, I was born in Florida. I grew up in Michigan, which means I got to see phenomenal color changes every fall. And so again, in Florida, I found myself frequently disappointed by the lack of color change here. But I had mentioned several years ago when I went through my transitional year that you all have heard me refer to, I talked about how when I stopped thinking that I needed to be somewhere else besides where I was, when I stopped with my destination preoccupation, I started noticing that Florida has a lot more fall color than what I had ever noticed before, what I had ever seen. And I've mentioned that on several occasions. This year in particular, I have seen some tremendous popping color around here. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Well, my boyfriend said to me a few weeks ago, he said, "Thank you. I have to thank you." And I said, "For what?" And he said, "Because I never really noticed the fall colors when I was out driving around." And he drives a lot for work. But I've really started to notice, and the drive today, for example, or whatever it was just incredible to him. And it was because he started paying attention and he found his awe. Is that making sense? Is that making sense? He was like, "Oh, there's some fall color." And then it's like the red car effect. And we talk about the red car effect all the time. Once it's in your brain, you're going to start seeing it. Whatever you're thinking about is what you're going to start experiencing and seeing. So he thanked me for pointing out the tremendous fall color, because then it was on his radar. And once he started seeing it, he started seeing more and more of it. And he was essentially in awe of what he was seeing. It is true, Ivy. It is. So here's the deal. We often rush so much in the holiday season that we forget to stop and look around. We forget to stop and look around. We forget to stop and look up. We forget to stop and look at the things that remind us that we are still alive. And I've got a hint for you. It's not bills and it's not to-do lists. Those are not the things that remind us we're alive. They're just not. And that needs no explanation, right? So, the awe moments, the sparkle of lights, the jaw-dropping sunset. One of the things I miss about where I previously lived, which is where my kids live now, just not too far away, but it was higher ground. And so when I would do my morning runs, I would see these incredible sunrises because I was up on higher ground. So now where I'm at now, I'm a little bit lower ground. There's more trees in the way. And I still see sunrises and they're still beautiful, but they're not like they were over there. To the point where some mornings I just want to drive over there and do my run so that I can see the beautiful jaw-dropping sunrise. So it's the sparkle of lights and the sunsets and the sunrises. And when we witness kindness, the birds, my backyard birds, are so amazing sometimes. And I found myself getting upset a week or so ago because it seemed like they had all disappeared. And my neighbor's got cats. And that's okay. I'm okay with cats in her yard, not mine, because we have really built kind of a bird following, if you will. And if the cats are here, then the birds are not. And I'm not okay with that, because once you pass 50, your life basically consists of protein and bird watching. That's just all, that's what it is. That's what we do. Those are our hobbies, protein and bird watching, right? So, my backyard birds had kind of disappeared and I wasn't seeing them and I was very upset. And I did a little research and I found out that this is the time of year where they're looking for different food sources sometimes. And they're molting, so they kind of hide, I guess, because they don't want us to see them when they think they're ugly, which I find very interesting. But when my backyard birds are there, I'm in awe of them. I'm in awe of all the different ones. And when I start paying attention, I see a lot more different types of, notice I said when I start paying attention, when I slow down and I watch and I go outside and I'll have my nose in my phone, I see different kinds of birds and I see birds in different stages of development, and different colors. And I realize that, you know, we have not one, but 3 species of woodpeckers in our backyard. And I just start paying attention. Or like when we find flowers blooming. I have a hibiscus back here that was basically dead all summer. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's a flower, have a flower. Oh, here, have another one. So these things, these unlikely times or places, that things are happening, laughter of a baby or a child. Do you have examples? Do you have examples of things that bring you awe, that when you stop and you pay attention to it, you're like, wow, that's amazing. Especially when you start really inspecting and paying attention to the details. So if you have an awe moment that you've noticed lately, drop in the comments. Let me know what it is. I'd love to hear about it. For me, most recently, it was Thanksgiving dinner. Thanksgiving dinner is Thanksgiving dinner. It's always a family gathering. Usually great conversations, sometimes some shenanigans, right? It depends on which side of the family is gathering, and what the dynamics are. But Thanksgiving dinner to me is Thanksgiving dinner. We have our favorites, macaroni and cheese, green bean casserole, turkey, blah, blah, blah. But for some reason, this Thanksgiving, everything tasted so much better. I don't remember ever noticing such a robust flavor in every single thing that I tried to eat. And I think it's because I actually slowed down long enough to enjoy the food as opposed to just shoveling it in my mouth as fast as I could get it to make sure I had room for everything, right? But for some reason, and even another family member said the same thing, everything just tasted extra this year. And I think I was just we were just having an awe moment where we were like, this is amazing. Everybody took time to contribute a little bit of food instead of one person cooking, and everything tasted so amazing. So again, if you have an awe moment that you've noticed lately, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. But why are we losing this? Let's talk about why we are losing this awe. Because we're not listening for the whispers. A couple weeks ago, I talked about listening for the whisper, and I can drop that link in the comment too, so that you can see that video. It's still up on Facebook. We're not listening for the whispers. We are too busy with the loud. Ivy, when I take my dog on a walk, almost all daily walks, just looking into the trees. Yes, yes, yes. I can't see your whole message. Facebook's not showing me the whole thing, but I'll read the whole thing when I'm done and respond. But yes, thank you so much for sharing. It is amazing. It is amazing. And that's when I really find the most awe too, is like when I'm out for a morning run, I'm looking for the bunnies in one of the corners where they usually hide, things like that. So yeah, it's because we're not listening to the whispers. It's because we are too busy with the loud. And let's face it, from like the week before Thanksgiving until the end of the year, it is loud. So there was an article written on November 22nd, on a blog, I think it's a blog called Her Campus. And I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the author's whole name. I got Shreya. I'm not even going to attempt that last name, but I'm trying to give her credit here. And when I started looking up awe, this is one of the articles that popped up. So some of what I have to say is from this article, and I'll drop that link in the comments too, so that you can see it, because I don't want to take credit for what somebody else has to say. So why are we losing the awe? Well, number one, and this is one of the things that she said in her November 22nd article, called The Lost Art of Noticing. She says screens and the endless chase of what's next are what is behind a lot of our lost awe. Okay. She talks about the seas of messages and notifications and deadlines that start with an alarm in the morning. And then it is just nonstop until we basically fall into bed or collapse on the couch or whatever it is we do. And sometimes even after, because how many of us, when we collapse into bed, are still looking at our phones, we're still clearing, I know, I'm guilty, clearing notifications, making sure everything's just so, turning down volumes, whatever. So even after we fall into bed, we still have our noses stuck in our phones. We're still focused on that all day long run from the time we get out of bed until the time we get into bed. So she says the world didn't suddenly stop being beautiful. We just simply stopped looking out long enough to admire it. And I can't think of too many words that are more true that have ever been spoken. Okay. She adds that when we trick ourselves into thinking that we're more connected through everything in the online world, when it's actually the opposite. Because of that online world, we are often more disconnected than ever. Oh, crunching on the leaves. Yes. Yes. I can't wait to read the rest of your comments because Facebook's only showing me little pieces, Ivy. Thank you so much. So it boils down to a dopamine trap. And again, this is something that Shreya, I hope I'm saying that right, describes. And this is backed up by science. I've seen this before and I've talked a little bit about this before. Our brains weren't designed to have so much constant overstimulation. And those notifications and videos and scrolls, they kind of turn into like mini hits of dopamine. And that they make slow mornings or activities where we're not scrolling or listening to music or have the TV on for white noise. They make those instances, those moments feel boring and unrewarding. And that's very, very true. So I talked a couple weeks ago about, I don't run with music in the woods because somehow I feel like that's blasphemous, that I'm supposed to be listening and paying attention. But when I'm on the road back in the neighborhood, I do. And I wonder if maybe I shouldn't try running in the neighborhood without music just to see if I pick up on anything extra. I haven't done it yet. I started to do it towards the end of my run last week after I talked about it. Still working on that because my brain, I definitely tell myself that I need music on the road. Don't worry, I wear open ear headphones, so I'm safe. But I tell myself in my brain that I need that noise on the open road, but I can't have it in the woods. So this is a story I tell my brain that I need to change. But she's not wrong. We often exist more in our screens or in our phones or in our computers at work. I know that sometimes, especially this beast of an assignment I have for this last little bit of this term, I roll out of bed, maybe take a shower first, and roll over here to this desk, and I don't leave my desk, and I don't stop staring at that computer for the most part for 10 or 11 hours. So even at home, I'm sucked into this computer screen all day because I work remote and I go to school online. So we exist more in our screens than we do anywhere else. And it erodes at our creativity and imagination, especially with the advent of AI tools. Our brains get stuck in consume instead of create mode. And this overstimulation, it shrinks our attention, our attention spans, and it shrinks our imaginative thinking. And this is one of the early things that are linked to cognitive dulling and burnout. It's a true story. I also read a recent article, and I don't remember where it was. I'll have to see if I can find it for you, about how using AI for simple tasks, and I do use AI as like a giant, I see it as a giant search engine on steroids. But if I'm not careful, I could easily get sucked into just asking it questions and trusting it. And I have a story about that too. And trusting its answers and not doing the work for myself, which I could actually see making me dumber. So just real quick, I had inquired about an early special election. I had just gone on to Google and asked about an early special election, when it was, because I was confused by some news information I saw and I thought I had missed it. And when I went on and did that, the AI overview that Google gives you now, and I think somebody showed me how to turn that off and I need to remember how, but the AI overview that it gave me said that that election had already taken place and told me who the winner was. And I was like, and I've heard about such things, but I was like, oh my gosh, that's not okay. What is going on here? So just a little reminder that even if you're using Google or AI or anything like that, just as a giant search engine on steroids, even then the information you find is not always correct. Just a little disclaimer there. In any case, these are the kinds of things that lead to early cognitive decline, and to burnout and just to general cognitive dulling. But finding awe expands our creativity, our perspective, and our problem solving. When we slow down and we notice details, we make better decisions, we form deeper connections, and we feel way less overstimulated. This is a true story. I've experienced it myself. So how do we change it? Well, we got to look up from our phone once in a while or put it away. I know the irony of me standing here telling you this on your phone or your computer or however you're watching this right now. But we can use these things as tools and still take a break from them and put them away. When we sit in silence or spend time alone, Ivy, like you were describing, out for a walk with your dog, enjoying nature and using your senses to tune in, this really helps our nervous system. It calms it down. It kind of resets it. It just kind of slows everything down for us. When we do one thing at a time, like making coffee without our phone in our hands, scrolling, A, we're less likely to make a noise, overflow the coffee, do something wrong. Been there. And B, we're just focused on one thing. We have one tab open. And when we do those things one at a time, sit in silence, spend time alone, we are more likely to notice the whispers that I spoke about a couple weeks ago and hear less of the random noise. The biggest way to change it is to engage our senses, to notice the details around you. I've been talking about that a little bit throughout this. When you're outside, when you're doing whatever you're doing, making coffee when not doing anything else, sitting in silence, what does it look like? What are the sounds you hear? What does it smell like? What things do you notice with your sense of smell? What does it feel like? This is basically grounding, mindset grounding 101. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it sound like? When I grew up in Michigan, for some reason I seem to be on Michigan a lot today, but when I grew up in Michigan, you could feel in the air without the weather telling you, without the weather channel telling you, you could feel in the air when there was snow coming. Just like we can smell in the air when there's rain coming. And one time, it was actually cold enough in Florida, I walked outside and I was like, it smells like snow. And my boyfriend looked at me like I had 10 heads, but I was like, I couldn't explain it. It was that smell and that feel in the air that I was very familiar with. And I have no doubt what the temperature was and the way it smelled and felt outside, that if we'd had any moisture in the air, it would have been snowing that night. I know it's rare, but it does happen. In any case, that's my point, is we got to notice the smells and the sounds and what it feels like, Ivy, when you went crunching through the leaves. And the things that we notice when we start paying attention to those details and use our senses, we are now stimulating our creativity. We are stimulating our brains. We're developing new neural pathways. There's all kinds of science behind this. I have 4 articles I have pulled up here that I can share with you. Scientifically reviewed articles, I think. Yeah, it looks like it. That talk about finding awe and in mindfulness and presence and all of those things, and what it does for your brain and for your nervous system. So, and the other way to change it is to act like a child. Children have awe. They have it naturally. They haven't learned how to get in their own ways. They experience things as they experience it. They get excited about even the littlest of things, most children. And they experience everything with all of their senses, and they ask questions. They're like, what is this? And why does it look like that? And why does it do that? And why is it there? When we approach things like a child, things like what's going on outdoors, children, pets, all of those things. When we approach things like a child, when we stare at the clouds and look for cloud shapes, when we touch leaves, when we notice sparkles, and we ask curious questions about ordinary things, We are approaching those things like a child, and we are going to find so much more awe in everything we're looking at. The truth be told, I love bunnies. And I could see the same bunny out in nature every single day, and I'm still in awe every time I see a bunny. We watch earth cams. I see bears on the earth cams. Well, not right now because they're all hibernating. And I am in awe every time I see them. If we approach these things like a child, then we're just going to automatically engage. No problem, Miss Ivy. It'll be here if you decide to go back and check it out. I'm almost done, so you're not missing much. Just my challenge. So my challenge to you is, based on all of that, spend 15 minutes outside without your phone this week. Yes, don't even take pictures. Spend 15 minutes outside without your phone this week. Stick it in your pocket if you're worried about safety. Watching wildlife, watching a sunset, looking for cloud shapes, playing with your kids, your grandkids, your fur babies, your neighbor's kids, whatever. Notice all the details and let your senses take the lead. Feel, sight, sound, smell, shapes, textures, all of that. Drop it in the comments. Write it down. Shoot me a message. Let me know what you experienced. Let me know what you noticed that amazed you, that you've never noticed before, that gave you some awe. Okay? I would love to hear about it. That's my challenge to you. 15 minutes. Notice the things. Feel the things. Sense the things. Share it in the comments or shoot me a message. Or if you don't want to do all that, just write it down. Write about your experience. Just a little bit of journaling to get your brain moving. And remember these things, because I'm wrapping up now. The smallest flower is a miracle when each day is approached with wonder. And that is a quote by Annie Nardone. Never heard of her before I started digging into this topic, but she had, is it this one? There's a little article online that I'll share called An Unexpected Journal. And it's imagination poetry. And that is her quote, that even the smallest flower is a miracle when each day is approached with wonder. That's that childlike approach. It's even talked about in the Bible. For those of you that join me that are believers, it's even talked about in the Bible, approaching things and believing like a child. So that's my challenge to you. The smallest flower is a miracle when each day is approached with wonder. Even tiny awe breaks, according to Berkeley, even tiny awe breaks can lower stress, decrease inflammation markers, and improve moods for hours. And I absolutely believe that's true. I've experienced it. And if you want the awe to stick, once you've discovered it, find gratitude in it. You guys know I'm a huge fan of gratitude. Be grateful for it. I personally think that's a crucial part of awe, is in that amazement and that reverence that we view and experience these things with, that we're also extremely grateful. And I think that makes a huge difference. So that's all I have for today. I hope this helps you find your awe a little bit today. If it does, I'd love to hear about it. Or that 15 minutes you spent outside this week, or whatever that looked like for you. I'd love to hear about it. Don't forget that I'm on YouTube if you want to catch up on all the previous videos. I will drop links in the comments for extra stuff that you can check out and last week's video. And if you found this helpful or inspiring, please share. And I will see you next week. Not 100% sure what I'm talking about yet, but it always comes to me and it's always awesome. So I will see you next week. And in the meantime, be well. Bye.